They buried an 18-year-old in Mississippi on a Monday, and by the time everybody left that church, there was $100,000 on the table. Tyler Perry paid for the whole funeral, a man who never even met the boy. Then Al Sharpton stood up and put $50,000 of his own on the line for anybody who'd come forward with the truth. Tyler Perry matched it, so now it's $100,000. For information on a case the police already said had no foul play. Now make that make sense. Why you need a $100,000 reward for a drowning? Let me tell you something. Before we talk about that funeral, before we talk about that money, we got to go back to a boat, back to an island, back to the 4th of July, because that's where this whole thing starts. And that's where the questions start too. If you are staying with us, take a second right now and hit subscribe so you don't miss where this goes next. And while you are here, tell us on the comment where in the world you are watching from. It matters to us to know how far this story have reached, and we read every single one. His name was Nolan Xavier Wells, 18 years old, out of Ocean Springs, Mississippi. Now, if you talk to anybody who knew him, and a lot of people knew him, they all say the same kind of thing. Gentle, calm, the kind of young man who made you feel seen when he talked to you. He graduated from Ocean Springs High back in 2025. Played football, played basketball, played baseball. Worked with the media program at his school too. Then he went on to play ball at Southwest Mississippi Community College. But here's the part that sticks with me. This is a kid who spent his time teaching special needs children how to play basketball. His own daddy told a story about it. A father reached out and asked Nolan to help train his special needs son, and Nolan did it. Willingly. Made that kid's whole day. So understand who we're talking about here. Not a troublemaker, not somebody who was always in something. A young man that both the young and the old loved. And when this boy went missing, this community didn't just say a few words and move on. They came out. Busloads of teammates, coaches, neighbors, black and white, standing in the same church. That's the boy. Now here's the day, 4th of July. Nolan gets on a boat with a group of people, and they head out to a place called Horn Island. Now let me paint this for you, because if you're not from down there, you don't know. Horn Island ain't a resort. It's a barrier island off the Mississippi coast. No buildings, no stores, no lights. It's federal land, mostly desolate, and the young folks go out there to party. But here's the thing you gotta hold on to. You need a boat to get to that island, and you need that same boat to get back. There's no other way off. No walking home. No calling a ride. If you out there, until somebody takes you back. The last time anybody sees Nolan on video, it's about 2:30 in the afternoon. You can see him in it. Same swim trunks that match his photos. Bending down near some adults on the boat. Looks like he's reaching for a drink, but you never see his face. Just the shorts. Just the moment. Then 2 hours pass, and around 4:30, that boat comes back. But Nolan's not on it. The group came back. He didn't. And this is where it stops being a sad accident and starts being a question that won't leave people alone. Because when that boat pulled back up, they had his phone. They had his keys. His phone. His keys. In their hands. And him. Still out there on that island. By himself. Now let me ask you the same thing his family been asking from day one. What 18-year-old you know hands somebody his phone and his keys and says, "Y'all go ahead. I'ma stay out here on this empty island by myself." Reverend Al put it plain. He said he's a lot older than 18, and he wouldn't even trust his own lawyer with his phone. So what happened here? And it gets worse, because nobody called the family. Nobody. The boat comes back. The boy's not on it, and not one person picks up that phone. His phone. The one they had. to tell his mama her son is still out there. She didn't get a call. She started to notice he wasn't around, and then the family went looking for him themselves. Sit with that. His mother found out something was wrong because she felt it, not because anybody told her. And when the family started asking questions, where's his phone, where's his keys? The sources say at first all of that got denied. Then later, when the phone finally does come up, word is there were things erased off of it. Gone. So now you got a boy who didn't come home. A phone and some keys that came back without him. A denial. And then some deleted messages. Anyways, that's 4 things that don't add up, and we ain't even got to the body yet. 2 days. That's how long it took. 2 days after that boat came back without him, the water gave Nolan up. His body washed ashore off Horn Island. And here's the part that stops you. It washed up real close to the same spot where they last saw him alive. Now, there's a man named Brian. He does search and rescue. He was up in the air, flying about 400 feet over that shoreline, and he saw the law enforcement gathered down on the beach. He saw the body, same swim trunks. And Brian, he's not an investigator, he tells you that himself, but he had a read on it. He figured Nolan might have got caught in a rip current that pulled him north, and then, when the tide slacked and the current turned back south, it carried him right back to the beach. He even said the low body mass could explain why it came up in 2 days instead of the usual 4 to 6. So on paper, there's your accident. A drowning, a current. Nature doing what nature does. But hold on, because the same man who explained the current also said something else. When they were out there searching, the water got so choppy, so rough, they had to leave the water, had to pull back so the water wasn't calm. And that's the thing about this whole case. Every answer that's supposed to close the door leaves it cracked open just a little bit more. And here's where it really cracks open. Before they searched a single phone, before one autopsy came back, before anybody sat down and put the whole day together, law enforcement had already made up their mind. No foul play. That's what they said. Now think about what that means. You telling a mother it wasn't foul play, but you ain't checked the phones yet. You ain't got the autopsy back yet. You ain't done the work. So how you know? That's the family's whole point. Their lawyer, Ben Crump, said it plain. The trouble started when somebody in law enforcement stood up and said we see no foul play before they could show anybody how they got there. And once you say that too early, everything after it looks like you just trying to make the words fit the ending you already picked. Like the family said, they want something that adds up to the truth, not something that adds up to some loosely connected stories. And right now, they got the stories. They just don't got the truth. So the family said, fine. If we can't trust what we're being told, we're going to get our own answers. There's 2 autopsies in this case. The state did theirs, and the family brought in their own. A nationally known forensic pathologist, Dr. Roger Mitchell. And you might not even know you could do that. Order your own autopsy. But you can. That independent one? Part of it got funded by Colin Kaepernick. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. The family says they didn't get access to the body until about 6 days after the state got done with it. 6 days. And Crump laid out why that matters. The first autopsy had the body close to the time it happened. 6 days later, in Mississippi heat, there's only so much even a top pathologist can do. He said it himself. There are limitations as to what he could do. You do the best you can, but there are unanswered questions. 6 days. Now some folks look at that and call it a delay. Some call it worse. The narrator's not going to tell you which. I'm just going to tell you the timeline and let you sit with it. And here's the kicker on both of them. As of everything we know, neither autopsy result is public. Not the state's, not the independent one. The one thing that could tell everybody how this boy actually died, and it's still not out. So the cause of death? Officially, still undetermined. Now let me tell you about the two stories, because there's two of them. The boys who were on that trip tell one version, and then there's a girl named Katie. She was the last person outside his friend group known to talk to Nolan on that island, and her account tells another. For about 2 weeks, nobody heard from Katie directly. Everything the world thought she said came through somebody else. First through a family friend, then through her own mother, Gracie McCormick, posting on Facebook. And she wasn't even dropping new information, she was just trying to correct rumors that had already run way past anything Katie ever actually said. So for 2 weeks, every version of Katie's story passed through somebody else's mouth before it ever reached the one person who needed to hear it, Nolan's mother. Then that changed. According to Christine, Nolan's mama, the two of them finally sat down, face to face. Not a phone call, not a Facebook post, in person. And here's what Katie says. She and Nolan spent time together on that island. At some point, they went their separate ways. She got on a boat with her own friends, a different group from Nolan's, and based on what Nolan told her before they split up, she believed he was going to go back and leave with his own people. But hold on. Here's the detail that everybody arguing online keeps missing. Katie never actually saw Nolan get on that boat. She didn't watch it happen. She's telling you what he told her he was going to do. That's an assumption built on a conversation, not something she saw with her own two eyes. And you know what that means? This isn't two people looking at the same exact moment and describing it two different ways. It's a gap, a real gap. The space between the last thing Nolan told Katie and whatever actually happened after she walked off toward her own boat. And nobody, not Katie, not the friends, not the family, not the investigators, nobody has been able to fill that space. So when Crump stood up and said it, he wasn't exaggerating. Two different stories. The boys telling one story, Katie telling one story. What is the truth? Anyways, that's the middle of it. A body that came home too close. A current that explains it and don't. A no-foul play that came too early. Two autopsies nobody's seen. And two stories that can't both be true. But hold on. Because what happens next is where the whole country starts paying attention. And where somebody starts sending threats. Here's when it stopped being local. Ben Crump took the family. The same lawyer you've seen stand next to a whole lot of grieving black families in this country. Then Al Sharpton came down to Mississippi himself, and the money followed. Tyler Perry paid for the funeral. Didn't know the boy, didn't have to, just did it. Colin Kaepernick funded the independent autopsy. Byron Allen donated too, and at that funeral, the reward went up. Sharpton put $50,000 on the table. Tyler Perry matched it. $100,000 for anybody with information that leads to an arrest and a conviction if a crime was committed. And the family and Sharpton said plain what they wanted. They wanted this thing investigated as if the races were reversed. Their words, 3 young black men and a white man dead off a boat. Would the phones already be searched? Sharpton put it in Mississippi's own history. He said the names out loud. Emmett Till, Medgar Evers. He said he didn't come to cause trouble. He came, in his words, to cut the light on. Now that's their position. I'm giving it to you the way they gave it. You take from it what you take. But here's the part that flips this whole story. The FBI got involved, and a lot of people assumed that meant the feds were investigating how Nolan died. They're not. That part still belongs to Jackson County and the sheriff. What the FBI is working, it is threats, interstate threats. Somebody, somewhere, started sending threats to people connected to this case, serious enough to cross state lines and become a federal matter. And it reached a judge. A Mississippi Chancery judge named Ashley Cole confirmed her own family got caught up in it. Threatened. Over a case they had nothing to do with beyond being close to it. So think about where that leaves everybody. The friends. Katie. A judge who never touched the case. Every last one of them now has to weigh the same question before they open their mouth. What does it cost to speak? And that right there is how the truth gets buried. Not always by a lie. Sometimes by fear. So where does it stand? No grand jury yet. 2 autopsies, still not public. A phone review still coming. And a mother and father who had to plan a funeral no parent should ever plan, while fighting for the truth at the very same time. His mama stood in that church and thanked God for 18 years. 18. And she asked people to keep saying his name, so his light keeps shining through the folks who loved him. That's not closure. That's a family making room for love in the middle of a story that gave him almost none, in an island that still ain't told everything it knows. I said what I said. You take the facts, and you pick your own angle. This case is not over. Not by a long shot. When those autopsies drop, when that phone gets reviewed, when a grand jury finally sits down, you already know we're going to be right back here breaking it all down for you. So do me a favor. Say his name in the comments, Nolan Wells, and tell me where you're watching from. If you made it this far, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell, because at Beyond Dark Cases, we don't let them sweep these stories under the rug. We keep the light on. Until the next one, stay safe, stay sharp, and keep asking questions.